Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UC Berkeley virtual visit. I first want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and visiting this webinar today. Before we officially get started, I'm first going to introduce myself. My name is Stacey. I use the she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. So I won't be actually presenting on the tour. However, I will be organizing your questions and ensuring that the visit is as smooth as possible. I'm from Palos Verdes, California, which is in Los Angeles, and I'm currently a junior studying molecular environmental biology. Now we're going to go on to some housekeeping for today. So today's virtual visit is a 45-minute presentation where there will be a lot of information regarding the university, campus life, as well as academics. If you do have any specific questions, we do have our Q&A button down below that if you press, you can write any questions, and a team of campus ambassadors who are right now behind the scenes with their cameras off will be answering live. We will also be choosing a couple of questions to be answered in our live Q&A at the end of the session. Throughout the presentation, there will be polls that will be popping up. If you can answer those, that would be amazing so that our guides can know who exactly is on this tour today. There is a recorded version. However, it is different than this recorded version from today. If you wanted to review any of the information or hear from a different pair of campus ambassadors on their experience, you can see that on our website. Today's presentation will be a campus overview, so there will be a lot of information in the student perspective. Therefore, there will be no information about admissions or financial aid info. If you do have any questions, we have a separate admissions presentation you can register for online. And finally, after the presentation, we'll end with a live Q&A, and we will do our absolute best to answer all your questions. So I please encourage all of you to press that button down below and ask questions because we love answering questions here at UC Berkeley. And with that being said, I'll now give it to your two amazing ambassadors for today.
Hi, everyone. I'm one of your ambassadors for today. My name is Sasha. I use the she, her, hers pronoun series. I am an out-of-state student from Seattle, Washington. This year, I am a junior studying applied math and molecular cell biology, or MCB for short. I'm also minoring in a program called CalTeach, which is a STEM education program where you can actually graduate with your credential in teaching. Through CalTeach, I've also been part of various tutoring as well as research in education as well. In my time in Berkeley, I've also been part of various medical research publications. I'm also intended to be a pre-optometry student. I don't know for sure yet, but I am part of that community as a leader in the Foresight Pre-Optometry Club, and I'm also part of a education data science research outreach program called Opportunity Through Data. And I'll pass it along to Dylan.
Thank you so much for that, Sasha. Welcome everybody to our virtual visit this wonderful Sunday afternoon. I hope you all are having a great weekend. My name is Dylan. My pronouns are he, him, his. I come from Glendale, California. That's just north of Los Angeles. I'm a junior, but I'm actually graduating early 1 year. So I'm graduating this semester, so I'm secretly a senior. I'm a major in rhetoric, and I have 2 minors in public policy and in journalism. On campus, I'm a current residential assistant in our residence halls at the Clark Kerr campus. I'm involved in the UC Rally Committee, which is a club centered around our traditions and spirit groups on campus to try to make students more involved in campus life and, passion for our sports teams and other traditions like that. Back when we did have more on-campus opportunities and jobs when we were more in person, I was involved in Cal Performances as a production assistant. I would work behind the stages and help performances go smoothly when traveling groups came to perform at our different theaters. And then I've also been involved in social science research here on campus. But let's get right into the virtual visit today.
Well, first and foremost, welcome to Berkeley. And Dylan, I did not know that you were graduating early. Happy last first week of the semester, because we just started classes as well. You should see a poll pop up on your screen, just asking who you are, junior, senior, prospective family member, etc., just so we can get a sense of who is in the audience today. You'll also see some nice camera shots of our campus, including a nice video on the top left corner of the screen. Another another highlight I wanted to point out was 150 years of women at Berkeley, which we actually celebrated, I believe, in 2020. Berkeley has been admitting women into Cal earlier than they were allowed to vote. So that's so exciting. We also have a picture of Sturdy the Bear in the center there, our beloved mascot, and one of our biggest bear statues on campus. And I'm looking at these poll results here, and it looks like most of you are juniors. So congrats, and I hope you're getting excited about applying to colleges soon, and maybe you'll apply to Berkeley come fall. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sasha. Let's talk a little bit about our agenda today. So some key topics we're going to go over in the virtual visit are an overview of Berkeley as a university. We're going to talk about our academic life, our experience with that. We're also going to talk about housing and dining, how that functions, how that works, especially in a quarantine pandemic setting. We're also going to talk about health and safety and having to do with everything. We're going to talk about student resources for you, even through a virtual setting. We're going to talk about how student life has adapted through the pandemic and quarantines. We're also going to talk about our athletic history on campus. We're also going to discuss libraries and research, and then a lot throughout the entire virtual visit about how remote learning is set up. But let's move right forward into a little overview of Berkeley.
So a little bit about our history. We were founded in 1868 as the first UC campus. So sometimes you'll hear us called as University of California, Berkeley, or just University of California, Berkeley, Cal. These are all of our names. Our official mascot is the Golden Bears, specifically Oski, who is in the top left corner there. Oski's super fun and friendly. You can find him all over campus all the time. He comes to all of our pep rallies. We love Oski. And our campus size is about 31,000 undergraduates and 12,000 graduate students. So you get a nice mix and get to interact with students of all ages and all spaces in their academic careers. So that's super fun. And we have a lot of historical landmarks on campus because we have been around since 1868. Two of the most notable spots on campus, being in the bottom left-hand corner, is Sprawl Plaza, which was actually one of the epicenters of the free speech movement. And on the right side, you can see Sather Gate, which is actually featured in a few iconic films, including Monsters University and Ant-Man and the Wasp, which are both excellent films if you have not had the chance to watch them. So I suggest you check that out.
Absolutely, Sasha. You cannot talk about Berkeley history without talking about the free speech movement. You're 100% right on that. So when we talk about the free speech movement, what is that? Well, at some point in the 60s, a lot of college campuses around America were a little frustrated with their lack of ability to talk about current political issues happening around the world and in the country, and they wanted the space on campus to share their ideas and to talk about them in a public space. And at the time, that wasn't very allowed by campus administration, especially at Berkeley. But the students of Berkeley rose up and they got together and they peacefully protested and got themselves the right to speak about any issue freely that they could on campus. So you can see that UC Berkeley has a very steeped history in making sure that the free discussion of ideas is very solid on campus. And that comes through things like free speech, being leaders on campus. We always are pushing the status quo, no matter whether or not you're a biology major, whether or not you're a social science major. We're always pushing the status quo to make things better for everybody. And that shows itself through our entrepreneurship and then research and innovation as well. We prioritize building a sense of community on campus, no matter who you are. Communities are formed through compassion, passion, and social justice, spirit and pride. You can see in the bottom right picture, that is the University of California Rally Committee. That's a club that I'm a part of. So that is one of the different keepers and custodians of spirit and traditions on campus. We also value diversity and excellence here on campus as well as public service. So that's just a little bit about our campus culture of being change makers and pushing the status quo and making the world better through our history. But let's get right on into more discussions about how we're tackling different things happening in the world right now, or more of our culture.
Well, before going on to what Dylan was talking about, just a few images of what was talked about on the previous slide. You can see a protest actually from a couple years ago in the top left corner. Protest culture is a pretty vibrant part of campus, but by no means are students required to be part of it and are no means pressured to be part of it. But it is fun to get out there and speak your voice and express what you're passionate about and anything that you want to educate people on. That's always fun to be a part of. You can also see our pep rally committee in the bottom left-hand corner, some research and machine work happening in the middle two photos. And on the right, you can see our spirit committee as well that we talked about.
Exactly. I tricked you. I'm going to talk about our global impact. A little bait and switch for you there, keep you on your toes. But let's talk about our global impact, especially through things like the COVID-19 pandemic that we're currently going through. But first, let's talk about how we're approaching education through everything. We are prioritizing access and scalability with all our academic programs right now, expanding that as much as we can, including students who don't even go here. We're trying to expand all opportunities that we can. This comes through student tech, and different programs like that. And we also have a lot of remote youth programs to engage the youth through times like these. And specifically with COVID research, we are ongoing trial testing, trying to figure out how we can approach this the best way possible to solve this crisis. And that comes through biological, cultural, and studying the economic impact of this pandemic, how it affects not only the scientific part of our lives, but how it affects our economic, cultural, social, every part of our lives. We're studying that as much as we can. And through this, we're also focusing on advocacy and social justice. We are still prioritizing human rights, anti-racism, resilience, and preventing trauma and burnout within our students when it comes to these kinds of issues, because we know these issues are important. And if anything has taught us this past year in 2020, these issues are more important than ever in a pandemic. So we're doing everything we can as an institution to address these problems and continue to push the status quo. But now we can talk a little bit more about our academics.
So here at Berkeley, we have 5 main undergraduate colleges. We have the College of Letters and Sciences, the Vassar College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. So these are our main colleges, and there should be a poll popping up on the screen just to talk to ask you what you're most interested in studying. Of course, you don't have to know. You're just in high school, and you'll probably change your mind a couple times along the way. So as those poll results start coming in, a little bit about all of our colleges. You can actually transfer between colleges if that is something that you want to do. A lot of students do decide to change their minds when they come to Berkeley. It can get a little tricky though. So specifically for 2 colleges, the College of Engineering and the College of Chemistry, if you know that you are interested in either a engineering major or a chemistry major, I highly recommend that you apply directly into those, because switching into that college later can be a little tricky. But you can take classes in between colleges. You can minor in different colleges. So Berkeley really wants you to explore what you're interested in. So I highly recommend you pursue what you're interested in. And then if you do decide to transfer later, that's totally fine. Looking at your poll results, I see that a lot of you are interested in social sciences and environmental sciences, biological sciences. Yes, I'm also a biological sciences major. It's great at Berkeley. I highly recommend. But we can get into more of the specifics on each college on the next coming slides.
Absolutely, Sasha. I have good news for all of you who answered the poll who like social sciences and biology. You're probably going to be a letters and science student, like a lot of people on this tour are, or in the back end, a lot of campus ambassadors who are with us are in the College of Letters and Science. So this is the largest undergraduate college we have on campus. It houses about 3/4 of our undergraduate population. This undergraduate college has about 5 different divisions: arts and humanities, biological sciences, mathematical and physical sciences, social sciences, and then general undergraduate studies. There are 80+ majors within here, and then fun fact, 17 out of 25 of our Nobel Prizes have come from here. I personally love the College of Letters and Science. You don't just have to study one major if you attend this undergraduate college, or if you enroll in a major within this academic college. You can take a variety of different subjects. I personally had to complete my foreign language requirement when I got here at UC Berkeley, and I decided to take Italian in the College of Letters and Science. And that's something I never thought I would take. That's something I never thought I'd do. But the community, the undergraduate Italian studies community at Berkeley really helped me learn the language. I had a great time expanding my mind there and learning a whole new different culture. And I actually got to use my language on a service trip this summer of 2019 when I visited Italy. So it ended up being a great little opportunity I had that I wouldn't have had otherwise if I didn't explore the College of Letters and Science. But that's just a little about my undergraduate college. Let's move on to some others.
Just another quick add-on to the College of Letters and Sciences. If you aren't happy with any of the 80 majors that we have to offer in that college, you can actually make your own major. It's called Interdisciplinary Studies. I know a lot of students look for that when they're applying to college. So we do have that option if you want something a little more interdisciplinary and combining of multiple majors. Talking a little bit about our Rouser College of Natural Resources. So this college is really great if you do want to focus more on the environment in any way, shape, or form. We have majors ranging from biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and even economics and policies with the environmental focus, which is super interesting and very prevalent nowadays. A lot of students in here have a really big focus on sustainability and social justice. One of the mottos is see the bigger picture, make a better world. The College of Natural Resources is really great if you want to get out into the environment and like even just pursue something that's not specifically like environmentally focused. For example, MEB, Stacey, who is on earlier, is in the College of Natural Resources. It's very similar to my major as MCB, Molecular and Cellular Biology, but with just that environmental focus. So it's a really great college. They have a really tight-knit advising community, and it's a really pretty part of campus as well. And a lot of students get out and actually research in nature on campus frequently. So it's a really fun college to be a part of and really interesting as well.
Absolutely. Weirdly enough, most of my personal friends are College of Natural Resources kids. They love trees and they love to hike. So, I love them back. I personally love going outdoors. We have a lot of great hiking spots in Berkeley. We can talk about it a little later, but those undergraduate college students are wonderful people. But let's talk a little bit more about the College of Environmental Design. So if you love the environment and love sustainability, but you want to build a more sustainable world instead of just exploring it, you might want to major in a undergraduate major in the College of Environmental Design. This is our smallest college on campus, only about 650 students mulling around in here. We have 4 majors within here. We have architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, sustainable environmental design, and those are the 4 you can choose. And if you see in the photos here on the bottom right, Worcester Hall, that's the building you see panning away in that GIF. That actually is a in-class kind of tool that students use to learn architecture, because you can see the building. It was built in a very brutalist normative style where it's just a building to be a building. There's nothing fancy going on. And if you step outside of it and you know a little bit about architecture, you can look at that building and see exactly how it's built. It can be used as a teaching tool to see, why is that part of the building there? Why is this one there? Why was it built like this? And architecture students can actually step outside and see how sustainable buildings are supposed to be built. So it's a very cool aspect of this undergraduate college. And if that's something that interests you, I really recommend it. Let's go ahead and move forward to some more colleges.
Next on our list, we have the College of Chemistry, which is actually a #1 globally ranked College of Chemistry. It has about 1,000 students and 3 main majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. A really common question that we get is, why is chemical engineering in this college versus College of Engineering? And it's just because you take a lot of chemistry classes when you are a chemical engineer. So the classes just line up a little better with this main college as your main hub. So if you're interested in any of those, this is the place to be. It is a great college with amazing professors. They have discovered so many things. We have actually discovered 16 elements on campus. They discovered 16 elements, including berkelium, which is really common to see on a t-shirt around campus, a BK. It's really common. It's named after us, as well as californium, seaborgium, and a bunch of others. We also are the inventors of the Lewis dot structure. So if you've ever taken a chemistry course in your high school careers thus far, you've probably learned Lewis dot structures, and that actually came from a professor in the College of Chemistry teaching Chem 1A, which is one of the most popular courses in Berkeley. And I have taken this course, and a bunch of other people have taken this course, and he actually invented this while teaching the course to help students understand valence electrons and how bonds work and all that jazz. So super interesting to be part of this really vibrant chemistry environment.
Absolutely. And let me tell you all, if you're not a science person, not a chemistry person out there like me, even still going to this university and understanding that you are walking around near the cradle of modern chemistry and a lot of elements that have been found there, it's freaking awesome. If I can be quite honest, to walk around and know that we're going to one of the #1 undergraduate chemistry colleges in the world. That's pretty awesome. You see a lot of hardworking people there. But to talk about another esteemed national college, we have the College of Engineering. This is ranked top 9 globally. So you're definitely getting a pretty good College of Engineering education here. This is a fairly big college, fairly moderate size. We have about 3,800 students here. You can choose between 11 different majors. This college, we take a lot more seriously with our students and make sure they're getting a great education. So you have to apply directly to the school. You can definitely still get in, of course, but we just want to make sure that you apply directly to the school because, it's a pretty good school. We want to make sure people are very passionate about what they're doing. Students who also engage with engineering at university have humanities and social science prep classes that they also need to take with their training. So we're not just getting a one-track education, we're getting a well-rounded education, even as an engineering major. And you also will be taking, of course, a lot of different technical courses. If you'd like to learn more about our amazing College of Engineering, we have separate engineering virtual visits, made for students who are applying to this college. So if you have any more questions about this or want to learn way more about our undergraduate College of Engineering, I really recommend you to check out this separate engineering virtual visit. Wonderful undergraduate college, a lot of hard workers there. But let's move right along.
Next, I'm going to highlight a little bit about our graduate schools because we do have the opportunity to take classes in our graduate schools, to be part of our graduate schools. You interact with graduate students pretty much every single day, whether that's actually in your classes or outside of your classes, internships, and all that jazz. So starting with our first graduate school, we have the Haas School of Business. A lot of students are actually involved in the Haas School of Business because they do have an undergraduate program in business administration, global management, as well as a dual biology and business program, as well as MET, which is our management entrepreneurship technology program, which is a dual degree between the College of Engineering and the Haas School of Business. We also have the Graduate School of Education, which I take a lot of classes from as being part of CalTeach, the School of Information, Berkeley Law, Social Welfare, Optometry, which I'm also really part of as well as being a pre-optometry student, journalism, public health, public policy. So we have a ton of graduate schools, and it's really great because you get to be involved with them on campus, whether they are helping in your courses or if you do want an internship or research, these are your people to go to. And it's really nice having such a large community of graduate students on campus.
Absolutely, and I just want to include very briefly that as a person who minored in journalism and public policy, I've had extensive experience of, going through undergraduate and graduate programs. And I tell you, I get to take classes with graduate students who are very serious about this work in journalism and public policy, and professors who are very serious about this work and huge in their field. So you can get involved in these graduate schools as an undergraduate through very different programs like that. And also as a third-year graduate, I'm currently applying to law schools. So I've applied to Berkeley Law, very hopeful for that. So Berkeley definitely connects you to all these places. I just wanted to emphasize that. But let's talk a little bit about our academic structure and class sizes when you're an undergraduate student here. So Sasha and I will tell you that it is a very well-structured academic structure for all the different classes you have. I can talk a little bit about the social science part of that structure, but most classes have a distinction between lecture and discussion sections. So no matter what class you take, you're probably going to have a lecture session, which is about maybe an hour and a half, once or twice or 3 times a week. And then you also have discussion sections, which are shorter 1-hour sections that you take with a graduate student instructor or a GSI. That is a graduate student who knows a lot about the academic subject that you're studying, and they're helping this professor kind of moderate and facilitate this course, and they can tell you a lot more about the things that you're learning in those discussion sections, where you really get to dig into the material more than you could have in lecture. And speaking of digging more into material, we also have office hours. Both graduate student instructors and professors mostly offer office hours. You can sign up, go to an office hours, talk to your professor about the subject, and you can also maybe get in touch with them to talk about different internship opportunities or maybe lab work that they're doing. So office hours is a great thing to take advantage of as a student. But in terms of class size, we have about an 18 to 1 student to faculty ratio. So about for every faculty member, there's going to be about 18 students. So you'll find that most of your classes, barring the very large intro technical classes, will be pretty comfortable. You'll know a lot of the people in your class. You'll be working closely together. You won't be taking a lot of classes with like hundreds of students. You'll mostly be pretty comfortable in all the classes you take. And as I said, 85% of classes have about fewer than 50 students. And labs and studios are very hands-on. Even now, one of my friends just did lab work last week. So some parts of campus are still open for students to go do labs. But that depends on your situation, but that's a pretty awesome thing that we still offer. And if you ever are maybe struggling academically or want to get a head start and do better, we have the Student Learning Center for students who want to get a little more tutoring, a little more help with any subject they might be taking. And we also have individual advising for students who might need that, but that's just a little bit about our academic structure.
So if you haven't heard, we're doing remote learning, which we've done for this past semester and this current semester as well. So it's been fully remote. I personally don't expect it to become anything hybridized in this upcoming semester, but they did release a statement, I believe a week or two ago, saying that they expect to be fully in person this coming fall. It might look a little bit different still, but they do expect for us to go back into the classroom this fall. So I'm so excited. Sorry, Dylan, that you missed your chance because you're graduating. But it's been totally fun being on Zoom. Every student has been given a Zoom Pro account, so you have all the special features of Zoom. And we have done synchronous and asynchronous learning. So some classes even have an option to do one or the other if it's the same course as well. But synchronous is basically a live lecture. You show up, the professor is speaking, you get to interact with your classmates during that time. But some classes do have asynchronous options as well, because there are people who are studying internationally, are in weird time zones, have other things going on now. So we do have a lot of that option for asynchronous learning, which is sometimes like pre-recorded classes or even a live lecture component, and you can go back and re-watch it later. There's also been a ton of resources. I actually think that resources are easier to come across now that we're online, because you don't actually have to physically go anywhere. You just log onto your computer, click a link, and there you are. So we've had a lot of virtual drop-in tutoring for class specifically through the Student Learning Center. GSIs and professors are easier to reach in their office hours. And we have had a big focus on instructional resilience, a big focus on semester in the cloud. I actually think my classes are so organized, probably more organized than they've ever been in the past. And it's really easy to find all the information that you need and reach the people that you need to, because they're always on their computer and looking at their emails as well. So we're making it, and hopefully in fall, we will be back in person as well.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Sasha, when I first got that email that said things were going to be back online, I'm back in person in fall 2020. I got pretty sad because I was very excited. If I was graduating in 4 years, I would have gotten that opportunity. But I'm very excited for students who will get that opportunity, because it's a wonderful campus experience. But before we talk about housing, I want to know a little bit more about where you all are from. Where are you coming to us from in the world or in the United States? So far, we got a lot of people on the East Coast. That's pretty cool. We have some people from NorCal, from SoCal, my SoCal people. Where are you at? That's pretty awesome. So no matter where you're from, we try to house about, when things go according to plan in the world, we try to house about 96% of freshmen for their first year. And those come through our different residential units, different residence halls and suites. But as a resident assistant now, I can tell you how different things have been because of COVID-19. So freshmen still get priority housing, and we try to house as much as we can. Obviously, that is far reduced this academic year, because we can't house as much people because we're trying to minimize the spread of COVID-19 in our residential communities. But we still have the same resources. We have resident assistants like me who can help you with any problems or situations you might have. I'm essentially a resource connector. Whatever problem you come to with you can come to with me, and then I will give you a resource, or I'll give you steps to go ahead and address that problem that you're having, whether it be academic, personal, health-wise, anything. I want to help you out. We also have theme programs on campus. So if you feel like you are part of a specific group or identity, we most likely have a living space for you to apply to live in. We have an African American theme program. We have a Chicanx and Latinx program for students to live in. And we also have our Global Environment Theme House program, GETH, which is actually housed right here in Clark Kerr campus where I currently am. Funny enough, 3 out of 4 of these pictures are photos of Clark Kerr campus. So you see the top right, the top left, and the bottom left photos are all of our beautiful Clark Kerr campus. The bottom left photo is a picture of the inside hallway of our Global Environment Theme Program housing, which is still going on right now. My good friend, one of my good friend RAs is currently the RA of that theme program right now, and they're doing great things. And the top left photo, you see that grand courtyard in Clark Kerr. I'm actually going to walk through there after this tour to go get myself some dinner. So, you know, things are still functioning here. People are still living here. We're having a great time. And to talk about dinner and different meals, your meal plan is still included. You can get different kinds of meal plans that offer you different amounts of swipes or points a week that you can use to get meals and pay for groceries and our on-campus markets which are still open. But that's just a little bit about our housing situation currently.
Continuing students also have the option to live on campus as well. So we do have various on-campus options for sophomores, juniors, seniors, graduate students, etc. So we have, first and foremost, International House, which is super cool. It's actually just campus affiliated, but a lot of international students live there, or even if you're just international adjacent, it's a really great place to live, very vibrant community, and they have the best food ever, like the best food. Even if you don't live there, I highly recommend finding someone and being friends with someone who does, so they can get you in to iHouse for any meal of the day. It's great all the time. We also have various affiliated properties, Channing Bowditch, Garden Village, Martinez Commons, just to name a few, which are pictured right there on your slide. We also have the opportunity to go off campus, and Berkeley has a ton of resources to help you find an apartment, to go apartment hunting, connect you with people to find housing. I currently live off campus on North Side, which is, I love living on North Side Berkeley with my friend who is actually my roommate from freshman year. We got along and I loved living with her so much. She wanted to live with me again too, and here we are living together off campus. We also have the option to do co-op housing. I believe, don't quote me if I'm wrong, that we have one of the largest co-op housing communities in the nation. So a very vibrant co-op housing community. It's super fun with various themes as well. So whatever you're passionate about, you can find a house for you. And we also have the option for Greek housing as well, which is a very popular and very economical option as well. Even if you live off campus or wherever you live, you can still sign up to have a meal plan. Well, some of my friends did that just because they didn't have time to cook in the middle of the day when you're running in between classes or whatnot. So you can just stop by, grab some food, and keep going on your way to class. And if you want some more information on our continuing housing information or freshman housing, you can check out our website, housing.berkeley.edu.
So absolutely. Before we get into a little bit about health and safety, I'd like to talk a little bit about how we're approaching health and safety in the residence halls. As I forgot to mention earlier, masks are required on campus and in our residence halls at all times. We need to be wearing masks to protect each other from the spread of COVID. And we're doing everything we can at UC Berkeley in and out of our housing facilities to stop the spread and to keep our students healthy who choose to still be here in the Berkeley area. And talking about that, we have different resources for students. We have urgent care, primary care, and physical therapy for students who may need it. We have the Student Health Insurance Program, or SHIP, which students can opt into if they'd like. Essentially, as a student at UC Berkeley, you need to have some form of insurance if you want to attend the school. And the Student Health Insurance Program is an opportunity for students who can opt into that and have an easier time meeting that requirement. And SHIP actually gives you a lot of great benefits in our different centers for health, and they lower the prices of different things and give you great deals and stuff if you opt into SHIP. But you definitely don't have to opt into it. I didn't. I still haven't my 3 years, and things have worked out fine. COVID testing and tracing, we're offering that, I think, 5 days a week, every day. You can go get tested. As a resident assistant, I need to get tested twice a week, so I keep getting tested twice a week. It's always wonderful to know whether or not I have COVID. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything to get a regular COVID test. And we're very focused on contact tracing, making sure we're rooting out where COVID spreads and trying to stop that as much as we can. And if you have any more concerns about how we're tackling that, we have a bunch of FAQs, webinars, and tips on how we're approaching that and how we're handling that, if that's something that you'd like to learn a little more about. But we also have psychological counseling, even in a virtual setting. We're still trying to offer students the opportunity to talk on the phone with a care agent or talk virtually with anyone who can help them go through mentally whatever they're battling in these challenging times. We also have the Path to Care Center, which is focused on leading efforts to transform our campus and community into a place that is free of sexual violence and making sure that we are respecting one another as bears in and out of the classroom. We also have the Optometry Eye Center, where you might see Sasha working. Fun thing enough, we also offer a lot of those students who work in the optometry center, they're students who are studying optometry and they want people to kind of study on. So if you ever have an eye problem, you can go check it out there. One of my good friends got a new pair of glasses there one time. That was pretty cool. So it's definitely a great campus resource. We also have a lot of stress relievers, Pause for Mental Health, and Llamapalooza. Llamapalooza is a time, and you can see in the top right photo, Llamapalooza is an event that we usually hold on campus on Memorial Glade. We bring llamas here the week before finals week to help students de-stress as they're studying. Obviously, we had a virtual year this year, so we had Llamapalooza online in Minecraft. We have a server where students built the UC Berkeley campus in a Minecraft server, and one of my good friends helped set up Llamapalooza virtually in Minecraft to help students de-stress last semester. So that was pretty cool. But that's just a little bit about some of our health and safety resources on campus.
Going into a little bit about safety. So Berkeley has a lot of services for people living on campus as well as off campus. Berkeley as a city is pretty urban, so it's important to stay safe as you are going about your college experience. But overall, we have the UCPD, UC specific police department, which is really great, which we have in addition to the general city police department as well. We also have blue light poles located there on various spots around campus as well as off campus as well. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to see one from anywhere you stand on campus. So if you see one and you are in danger, you can click it and a police officer or a service officer will be there within 90 seconds. We also have a program called Warn Me, which gives you text notifications if there's anything going on in or around campus as well. More frequently now, I've been getting a lot of them about traffic and car accidents. We also they would tell you if there was a cougar sighting, which happened a couple of years ago. There was once a big water situation, that pipe burst that happened that was flooding one of the areas around campus. So they were like, avoid the area. So those are some of the fun Warn Me text messages that I get throughout my day. We also have in the residence halls, we have a 3-point security system. So to get into the residence hall building, you have to scan your key card. If you come in after hours, you also have to check in with a student employee who is checking in all the residents into the hall to make sure that it's just residents, and that if you bring a guest, that their name is written down and everything like that as well. You also have to check in your key card to get in the stairway or into the elevator, and also you have a key to get into your room. So you have a lot of security from outside into your room, which is really nice. And we also have various night services as well, including a night safety shuttle that runs in and around campus as well. I live off campus, but the night safety shuttle stop is literally not even a block away from where I live, which is really nice. And it runs all hours of the night. And sometimes if you're the only one on, they'll just drop you off exactly where you live. And we also have a Bear Walk program, which is where a community service officer, which is a student trained UCPD employee, will come and walk you to wherever you need to go. So if you're studying at the library late at night, for example, they'll come and walk you to your apartment or your dorm or wherever you live.
Definitely. So that's just a little bit about security, but let's talk a little bit about your own development as a student on campus. If you are worried about kind of the different resources you might want to explore here on campus, there are a plethora of them for you to engage with, all centered around your identity or community. We have Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement. We have the ASUC, or the Associated Students of the University of California. That's kind of like our student government here. We also have the Transfer Student Center, because we care about our transfer students, especially in times like these, trying to acclimate to campus life in a virtual setting. We also have an Undocumented Student Support and Equity Center, and then a Disabled Students Need Program, and then a Basic Needs Center. and just hundreds, maybe if not more, different resources for you to engage with. If you feel part of any identity or any community and you'd like a specific safe space for you to get resources or to just be with people of your similar situation, I promise you we probably have a community or a resource center for you. We prioritize students feeling comfortable and cater to in their different identities here on campus. That's something we hugely prioritize. But let's talk a little bit about how we're approaching student life in a time like this.
So here on campus, we have over 1,000 registered student organizations, and those are just the registered ones. We have a ton of groups on campus, and most, if not all, students are part of one or more groups on campus. I think me and Dylan combined are part of like 10 or something. So you rotate through different groups during your time on campus, and it's all really fun. It's where you make most of your friends. I recommend wherever you go to college that you get involved in student organizations on campus. That's what makes college all worth it. And a lot of them are focused on things like volunteering as well. Most notably, we have the Berkeley Project, which is actually a club that organizes one super big service project per semester where hundreds of registered student organizations will come out all on one day or 2 days or a weekend and work on one service project, which is super great. But we are in a urban area near SF, near Oakland. There is a lot of spaces to become part of off campus as well, a lot of volunteering spaces, children's hospital, suitcase clinic, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on forever. You can also get involved in employment on campus. We have the Career Center, which can get you connected with employment on campus, as well as get you connected with employment off campus as well if you are interested in an internship. I work as an optician off campus, so I actually got that through one of my registered student organizations. There is a million ways to connect to get a job if that's what you want to do during your time at Berkeley. And like I said, we are in an urban area near San Francisco, near Silicon Valley. There are hundreds of thousands of internships in the area to get part of, to be a part of. Most, if not all, students who want to get an internship at some point in their college career will get one. It may not be your top choice, but it'll be a great choice because there are so many options near us. You can also be a part of study abroad. I actually applied for study abroad in the summer. Hopefully it'll still happen. If it does, I will be going to Berlin, which is really exciting. And you can explore the Bay Area, which is super great. We have a very vibrant public transportation system. The university gives you a Clipper card, which is like a bus card that can take you all around East Bay, and you can actually take across to West Bay towards San Francisco as well. So the world really is your oyster here.
We are in the heart of California in the Bay Area. There's a land of opportunities. I mean, Sasha's absolutely right. When you go to a campus like this, you're bound to get something cool coming across your lap, even if you're not looking for it. But you definitely should look into that. And talking about how we build community in a time like this beyond academic and student life, we're still doing everything we can to connect students while they may be studying at home or on their own here. Social media networks have been huge in developing campus connections. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of first-year students who've only had a class this entire academic year online, maybe at their homes, how are we making them feel like they go to Berkeley? How do we make them feel like they're Berkeley students? We're doing everything we can. We're making sure that student groups and clubs have social hours and online adaptations. I can personally say that the UC Rally Committee has done everything they can in a very great way to still include students online. We actually have a lot of first-year students who are in our club and organization because they found out about us online, and we haven't even met them in person yet, but they're huge parts of our organization, even in a virtual setting. And if you're interested in like different departments or different opportunities for professional and personal development, there are plenty of different webinars offered to there. We have a lot of guest lectures. Last semester, actually, Dr. Fauci came and talked to us about COVID-19 and how that's going. So that was super cool. We also are prioritizing for our first year students, Golden Bear orientation in a virtual setting, which is like kind of like first orientation program that first year students go through to get acclimated to campus. And I know a lot of people who were the advisors, GBO leaders and advisors this past year, and they said even virtually it was a great time. That focuses on teaching students how advising works, how to prepare themselves for classes, and how to network for different opportunities. And we're still making sure that happens even virtually. But let's move right along into our next topic about athletics.
Really quick though, I also wanted to add that last semester we had a webinar with Dylan O'Brien, star of Maze Runner and Teen Wolf. So that was also really great. But talking a little bit about athletics, we have various levels of competition. We are a D1 school, but we also have club and intramural sports options as well, which are very, very popular, and they vary in time commitments. And a lot of students get involved in some sort of sports at some point on campus. We also have various facilities for athletes as well as people who want to exercise. So we have the California Memorial Stadium, which is home to our Simpson High Performance Center, as well as the Athletic Study Center, the Haas Pavilion, which is home to our basketball courts, where the gymnastics team practices, et cetera, et cetera. And we also have the Recreational Sports Facility, or RSF, which is our big new gym complex, which I believe was built only a couple of years ago. It's super huge, super nice, and has everything you could ever need. You can actually also rent out some equipment from there, which is also really fun as well. And overall, Berkeley is very athletic. We have a total of 207 Olympic medals. I think, again, don't quote me if I'm wrong. If we were our own country, I think we would be 9th in the world. Dylan, you can correct me. But yeah, very athletic environment on campus.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, regardless of where we'd be ranked, we'd have a whole heck of a lot of medals, a lot more than a lot of other countries. So you're absolutely right, Sasha. It's ridiculous. You probably might end up going to class with some future Olympians, or even maybe a current Olympian in a rare scenario. I went to a class my very first semester back in fall 2018. I had a class with someone on the swimming team, and he's now a 2-time back-to-back like national swimming champion. We are the University of California's back-to-back national swimming champions, which is pretty awesome. And we had 2, I think, women on our track team or athletics and like field team like break records recently. So I mean, even in a time like this, we're still breaking records. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about that. So we have a great athletic history here. But let's talk about our different opportunities for like research and how you're going to experience libraries when you might come to campus. We have 24 official libraries on campus. As a Berkeley student, you are required to have a favorite library that's non-negotiable. Someone is going to ask you what your favorite library is, and you've got to say something. My favorite is personally Main Stacks, and you can't see it on these photos, but you can sort of see it. Because if you look at the top left photo, we have Doe Library. That's my second favorite art library. But beneath that library, we have Main Stacks Library, which is underground, and it's like this kind of like underground little cave of all these books. And like just different shelves and shelves of books and these tables. And I personally love it. It's like my own little study space underground. It makes me focus really really well. It makes me focus really well. But it's only sad because I can't do that now because all our libraries are kind of closed with this whole COVID thing going on. So, but in a normal sense, that would be my favorite library. We have 13 plus million volumes. We have an extensive online resources. Sometimes I forget how like official and like nationally esteemed this university is, because like we have copies of like first edition Mark Twain books and like these first drawn maps. Like we have like very historically important texts here. So that's something you should definitely take advantage of, because if you're writing a book or a paper, if you cite like Mark Twain's first edition of something, that's going to look pretty sick. So you should definitely take advantage of that. Also, there are a bunch of different undergraduate research opportunities here through our program URAP, which is the Undergraduate Research Apprentice Program. I did URAP. I never thought I'd do URAP, but I did get involved in research. I didn't think I would, but there was an opportunity to kind of organize and collect European election data through the social science thing, and they needed people. And so I emailed people and I was just like, hey, I'd be totally down to do this. I need some research experience. And they were like, sure. So I got to learn a little bit of coding. I got to learn a little bit about data cleaning as a rhetoric major. So that's a really cool thing I learned through these different opportunities. But it doesn't matter what you major in, what you're involved in, you can get involved in research in any field. But let's move on and talk a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about some cool thing that happened recently. I'm not sure if you heard about this, but we got 2 more Nobel Prize winners here at UC Berkeley. Jennifer Doudna got a Nobel Prize in chemistry, and Reinhard Genzel got a prize in physics. So that's kind of awesome. I know a lot of people who took classes with Jennifer Doudna and like have gone to her office hours, and she's just like a casual Nobel Prize winner, one of the first like I think individual like women to win this prize. I'm pretty sure, something like that, but groundbreaking nonetheless. So we're very proud of these 2 academic leaders on our campus for winning some more Nobel Prizes.
And just to round off our presentation, just a few campus highlights. We have a very vibrant environment around us. We are in the beautiful Bay Area. There are lots of hiking trails. Closest to us is the Fire Trails, located right behind Clark Kerr dorms. We also have Strawberry Creek running straight through campus, which a lot of students actually do research collecting samples from this creek. We also have a lot of hills on campus, so get your sneakers, get ready for that workout. You know, walking around campus is your workout. No need for the RSF even. You can just walk on campus, get your own hike in. We have a lot of trees and wildlife, most notably our squirrels, located nice and cute on your slide as well. We have a lot of flora and fauna, and we have a really nice urban-rural mix. I really like the nature aspect of our campus, and it's a really nice balance between the two. If you ever get the chance to visit, please do.
Thank you, Dylan and Sasha, for an amazing presentation. So we're now actually going to be moving on to our live Q&A session, and we have some really amazing questions from our attendees today. So our first one is for Sasha. Claire asks, approximately how large are most classes, and do you have an honors college?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I have taken classes as large as 1,500 students. That was my Chem 1A course. But like we spoke about before, we have separate discussion sections, and my discussion section had about 20 people in it. So we had a nice small community in that class anyway. But most classes, like we discussed, are less than 50 students. This semester, I believe almost all my classes are under 50 students, except one class, which is no, actually they're all under 50 students this semester. So that's really fun. I actually get to talk to people in my online classes instead of just watching something, which is really nice. So that will probably be the case for you. In your lower division classes, you probably will have a lot of large classes, but that's okay because you do have those discussion sections. But I actually kind of like the large classes. It's fun because like you're in a class with all these students, and probably a good chunk of them will be living in your dorms with you, and you can have really large study sections. And even if you're coming from different majors, they're probably in this class too, because you know it's a large class. It's probably cross major requirements, so you get to meet new people that you may not have classes with in the future, which is also a really fun experience. In terms of honors college, we don't have specific honors college like separate from our main undergraduate colleges, but each department, I think almost each department has their own honors program that you can do in your major. You'll write a thesis, you'll do extra research, you'll have special advisors, which is really great. So you apply for that when you are going into your major, or I believe you just need to work that out with your advisor. I think it varies based on major, but as soon as you declare your major, you can work with your advisors if you do want to pursue the honors program in your department or major.
Thank you, Sasha. Very true. And I know some lectures of mine only has 100 people, which is like not even that different compared to smaller colleges. So my next question is for Dylan. How is the work/social life balance at Berkeley, and how do you maintain that balance as a UC Berkeley student?
Absolutely. I think balance between your academic and personal life is vital when you come to campus. I didn't think I'd be doing an honors program right now in my major in rhetoric, like writing a thesis right now. I never thought I'd be doing that. But you know, when I came into college as an undergraduate student, as a freshman, I came in with the mindset that you have to, like, I came in with the mindset that I had to approach college like high school, where I had to get involved in every single thing that I could. I had to like do everything and get my foot in the door and everything, and just do the most opportunities. But that actually isn't the case if you want to kind of like succeed and do the best here. You should focus on doing things you really want to do and things you're passionate about. Undergraduate, your college experience is, you know, a time where you want to focus on like doing things that you care about, things you want to build your career around. So I found that when I tried to do everything and get involved in a bunch of different clubs, my grades suffered because I just didn't have enough time to focus on things. But I decided to take a step back and get involved in only about like 2 to 3 clubs that I was really passionate in, and then kind of give myself time to focus on my classes. So it's all about balance. It's all about establishing balance in your schedule. How much time do I have to, be in a club meeting? How much time do I have to do a reading or write an essay? It's always about balance and making sure that you're scheduling out your time, making sure that you can actually succeed and have a good time. Because if you schedule out your time, you're going to be happier and you're going to have more time to do fun things. So that's something I learned. It's definitely possible. Every student learns how to balance their own schedule, and it's obviously different for every student. Depends on what you're majoring in, depends on what you want to get involved in, but it's all about balance and making sure that you're on top of scheduling out the things that you have to do. But that's just my experience.
That's a great answer. And I think Sasha and Dylan can attest to the fact that like your freshman year will be rough at first in terms of balancing, but it's a learning experience and you will grow from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
My next question is for Sasha. Julia asks, what are 5 words you would use to describe the community at Berkeley?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and it's hard to narrow it down to just 5 words. But really quick, just to add on to the previous question, it's all about killing. It's all about getting 2 birds with 1 stone. You hang out with your friends and you study at the same time. And along those lines, I think that Berkeley students are really like proactive. I think that's one, like getting your studying in, getting that done, working with other students, collaborative. That's another really good one as well. I think collaborative is a really like good way to sum up the Berkeley community. We're very collaborative. Professors always encourage you to get involved with other students. They sometimes organize study groups for you. They help organize groups. They're really good about getting all those collaborations going on in their classes. So that's another word I would use to describe it. Another one is passionate. This is probably the most common one you'll hear from any campus ambassador. Everyone at Berkeley is passionate about something. It may be something really odd. It could be something like bugs. It could be something more like worldly, like they could be really into politics. I really like optometry and eyes. If you do have any questions about eyes or your glasses, or if you're having an eye issue, I encourage that you reach out to me because I know a lot about it. I would also say that the Berkeley community is very curious. They're always asking questions. Everyone's always doing their own research, trying to get informed in their own way, to educate themselves. And I have to pick one last word. Dylan, do you have one in mind?
I think giving. I think it's just a very giving community here, more than I thought it would. And I can talk about this more in my Berkeley story, but this community is full of people who care about not only the world and like making things better, but they care about our own success with each other. I mean, it's a very caring and giving campus. At the end of the day, people think it's very cutthroat and competitive, but students don't have time to be cutthroat and competitive here. We're so busy trying to do great things. So it's a very giving campus. Yeah.
Very well said, both of you. So my last question, as Dylan was mentioning, is what is your Berkeley story? I know someone in the Q&A asked, what is not on the Berkeley website that you would want students to know when applying to? And I think that Berkeley stories are definitely a part of that. So if you want to elaborate on that, please do. Sasha, you can go first.
Okay. So I'm coming from out of state, from Seattle, and one of the biggest tropes is that everyone from Seattle wants to go to California because it rains every single day in Seattle for like a good 6 months of the year, which is true. So I was applying to a bunch of California schools because, I did want to go somewhere where it was a little more sunny. So there was a lot of other things on my list too. I wanted to go to a big school where I could meet a lot of people. I wanted to have so-and-so majors available. I wanted to have so-and-so programs available, but for the most part, I didn't really narrow down what school I wanted to go to. That just wasn't on my priority list. I just was like, let's apply everywhere and see what happens. So I remember to this day, I got into Berkeley. It was one of the last application decisions to come out. I think it was my last decision to come out, and I was kind of excited, but also I knew I was like, oh, they're gonna think I'm so basic for wanting to go to California and go somewhere sunnier. But I was like, I know it's a really great school, but I got into a few other schools. I was still debating, and I came to visit on Cal Day. And when I tell you every single student was out on Cal Day, which is our big like admissions day where the whole community comes out and a bunch of organizations come and they share what they're doing in their clubs, and advising is out, and there's mock lectures, and it's this whole thing that we have every day. I believe this year it is virtual again. We had it virtual last year, and I think it's called Cal Week because it's going on for more than just one day. But when I tell you every single person on the planet in Berkeley was on campus, everyone was there. Everyone was so passionate. They were trying to tell you about this cool thing that their robotics club was doing, about this cool airplane that they built, about this cool biology research that they were doing that I had no idea what, like, I didn't understand anything that they were saying. But it was so nice to be such part of such a vibrant community. And I think that's probably the single greatest thing that I've ever decided to do, going to Berkeley, meeting all these passionate people, and everyone is into something different. And it's so refreshing to be part of that community. And so when I say like, come to Berkeley and be passionate about something, when you're applying, like share your passions with the application committee. They want to know what you're passionate about because Berkeley's community is really passionate. And so greatest thing ever. I love Berkeley. I love the people here, and I'll pass it off to Dylan.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sasha. We accidentally have very similar Berkeley stories, weirdly enough. When I was applying to college, my first thought was, I don't want to go to school in California. I grew up in SoCal. I don't want to be here anymore. And I don't want to go to school in the Bay Area. I was like, no California, no Bay Area. I was like, those are my two requirements. I can go anywhere else. And so I originally was really into like the DC schools, like, Georgetown and like American and Catholic and all those schools. And so I went and visited them. And I didn't really like the vibe. I didn't really like the culture in DC. And I was kind of crushed because I was so excited about like doing a little politics life and like trying to get really involved. But then I was like, I'm not really sure, where else to go. And so I'm filling out the UC application at some point, and I'm with my mom, and I'm not planning on applying to Berkeley. And she's just like, why don't you click on Berkeley anyway? It's a great school. I know like a lot of my mom's friends went there. Like I know a lot of family friends who went there. She was like, why don't you just click on it just in case? And I'm like, sure. And so I apply there. And then of course, just like Sasha, when you open that email and when you see that confetti, you're just like in a shock. You're just like, no way. Like they want me like to go to Berkeley. Like that's a really good school. And so I'm not gonna lie, it's super intimidating. Because a lot of students end up going from like, being big fish in a small pond to one of the biggest ponds there is in the state at UC Berkeley, because there's a lot of students here who are trying to do a lot of great things. And so I was super intimidated, but I went to Cal Day, like, almost every Berkeley admin will tell you, they go to Cal Day and their minds are changed. But my mind wasn't changed by like, all the academic things going on, like all the, cool fancy stuff that they were having out. What made me decide that Berkeley was a place for me was when I was in Sprawl Plaza, the place where, like Sasha said, where all the organizations and student tables are out. I was standing in the middle of Sprawl Plaza, and I was just in the middle of this chaos. There were just tables of students, passionately advocating for so many different things, like science, like, sustainable, like different scientific initiative, like, here, sign this for like this initiative to go to Sacramento, like yada, 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 just a bunch of noise. But it was a bunch of very passionate and strong noise. And I realized that, what you can't get on the website, what you can't see through all these visits is, and you can get a great education anywhere, but you can't get Berkeley students anywhere. And those are the kind of people I wanted to surround myself with the next, 3 or 4 years. I wanted to surround myself with passionate people who would turn me into an equally passionate person. And I have not regretted that decision any day that I've been here. The students are what makes this university go. I mean, we have wonderful buildings, wonderful academic people, wonderful structures here, but it's the students that make Berkeley what it is. And so you'll definitely be getting that if you come here, but that's just my Berkeley story.
Thank you. I resonated with both of those answers, and they were very well said. So thank you very much. So that is actually the conclusion of our live Q&A. Before you leave the webinar, I have some information for you that might be helpful in your journey to possibly applying to Cal, which I hope you all do. Please follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley. You'll see what our students have been doing now that things are remote, and a lot of information regarding the ambassadors as well. If you do have any underlying or lingering questions, you can email tour@berkeley.edu, and one of our student ambassadors will answer your question. We also have our Bear Talk blog, which is where ambassadors write about a various amount of topics regarding to their academics, regarding to their daily lives or passion. There's also recorded virtual visits available on our YouTube channel. If you want to see how Berkeley has responded to COVID-19, we have that located on our website. We are once again celebrating 150 years of women. So if you want to see how we've been celebrating that, the webpage is very awesome. I highly recommend you check that out. Once again, if you want to register for our admissions presentation, there is that link. And finally, if you want to see any ambassador student panels, or you're a student who's specifically interested in the College of Engineering, you could definitely register for those. Now, I'm finally going to end this visit with my two tour guides for today. Please join me by saying "Go Bears," which is a phrase we say both on and off campus all the time. So I'm going to count to 3. If you can unmute yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Go Bears!
Go Bears!
Thank you.